Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. From overeating to overspending, we all have bad habits we'd like to improve. Our next guest is here to show his strategy for creating lasting change. We welcome the author of Unhooked, Free Yourself from Addiction Forever, Dr. Jaffe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Tell me a little bit of your backstory and what inspired you to want to help other people who are living with addiction.
Yeah, absolutely. I struggle with these same issues myself about 23 years ago. Grew up in an upper middle class family and ended up finding myself in places that nobody really thought I would ever find myself in, including jail. And when I got out, I couldn't get a job, and the only thing I really could do was get back into school. And so what I did is I went back and studied essentially kind of what went wrong. I studied the brain, I studied social psychology, I studied abnormal psychology, really to try to understand what happened to me first. But then once all those lessons came in, the rest of my life has really been dedicated to trying to help other people who've been in the same place either take a shortcut or never get there at all.
It helps so much to hear from somebody who's actually lived the experience. And you have some helpful advice, too, that can help really anybody, no matter what their path is in life right now.
Yeah, I look at addiction, we think of addiction as only being around alcohol or drugs, but you mentioned some other really, really important things. If you're binging on food all the time and it's affecting your life, that's a compulsive habit you can treat with this technology. We're all essentially addicted to this device that we now have in our hands. And some people use it for gaming, others for social media, others for more nefarious reasons that are interfering with other areas of their life. And so I think holistically on compulsive habits is bad habits that are causing a harm in our life and we want to change. And the techniques that I've worked out with myself and with thousands of other clients over the last 15, 20 years work for any of those.
So tell me about beginning with identifying those hooks that drive your behavior. How do you get started?
Yeah, so I actually want to start with the mistake most people make. Most people think, well, I do this thing. Let's say I overeat, I binge eat at night, and it causes problems in my life, so I should change the behavior. That's the first thing they go to. And most people end up getting caught in this endless cycle of failure, which makes you feel really bad, causes you to have shame, et cetera, et cetera. And then people normally just quit even trying to change. What I say to people is, look, the behavior you're engaging in right now meant something at some point in the past. You learned it because it actually did help you resolve something. What we have to do is go all the way back to that initial starting point, resolve the original pain, and then you don't have as much pushing back trying to get you to re-engage in that behavior. Then it's so much easier to replace it, which is actually the better trick, is to replace your bad behaviors, not just eliminate them.
Okay, that's tough though, to kind of go back in time and maybe unearth some painful memories.
Sometimes it's about painful memories. Sometimes it's just about learning that you had. I have a story in the book Unhooked about a woman, but she came to me for cannabis, and she had been smoking cannabis for 20, 30 years. She just could never stop. She had GI issues. She had all these reasons that she said she couldn't stop. And we went back with stories. That's what I love to do with my clients. We talk about stories of what was going on around your life when this behavior started out. And she told me a story. She was an athlete and a scholar, like a student body representative. And every time before a debate or an assembly or a meet for her sports club, he would throw up. And she would go to the bathroom and throw up if it was her school, or throw up on a field or some grassy knoll somewhere. And it embarrassed her, and everybody was looking at her, and it made her feel really, really bad, until one day a friend introduced her to a little hit of cannabis, and it completely stopped her nausea. And she had forgotten that story, but 30 years earlier, this thing had kind of saved her in a way, right? Now, when we went back, it was social anxiety. It was fear of failure. It was perfectionism. Those were actually the hooks that were underneath those anxiety and panic attacks she was having that were making her throw up. So we had to do some work and fix those. But the beauty is, if you go back and you fix the hooks, not just the behavior, your life grows and expands exponentially.
Well, and then once you kind of, realize what those hooks are, can you recognize them more in your day-to-day life now and be able to react in a more positive way?
Yeah, I would actually say it starts exactly. So we have a three-step kind of cycle: explore, accept, transform. The first thing is we have to find out what the hooks are, as you mentioned. So we go through stories, we talk to other people, we really try to unravel what was it that did it. The next thing is acceptance, actually, even before you change it, right? So many of us feel so badly about those periods of hooks. They could be really negative traumas, as you mentioned before. There could be parental divorce, big moves, friend breakups. One of mine was a 14-year-old embarrassment around a girl that I asked out in junior high, right? That was a really, really big thing for me, which anybody in junior high can relate to.
Of
So,
course.
I still stand by it. But it was so embarrassing to me, it caused me to change my behavior and change the way that I saw myself. So the beauty is once you come into acceptance around those things, and there's some work to do around that, they don't actually hold you back as much as they did before. And now you can start as an adult, recognize your power and put in completely different habits that are not even about fixing the addictive or compulsive behavior. They're actually about leveling your life and moving forward.
Well, and it seems like once you're able to give that grace to yourself, you could probably have more empathy for other people too, right? We're all walking through some journey.
And I mean, look, there's a reason why I do this work still 20 years after I recovered in many ways from my own struggles. And it is because seeing other people as they struggle really allows me to stay humble, right? Because I can remember my beginnings, I can remember where I came from, and also you actually kind of get to pay it forward because once you know that these struggles are actually about people suffering, you stop looking at it as we do right now, which is about people being a failure, right? Right now, if somebody eats too much, we think that they're lazy and they don't care. Or if they watch too much TV, we think that they may be dumb. Whatever, we just put these labels on people. But in reality, when you understand that it's actually an internal struggle that's making that happen, as you mentioned, you have empathy, you can go help them, and everybody gets better.
Hey, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Jaffe's book is Unhooked, and we'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.